Okay, there we go. Today on Champion Me Zoom, we have, I'm going to make sure I say her name correctly, Sumaiya Sarwar.
Yep, you got it right.
All right. She was a national competitor. She's been competing for a few years, but not that long. And she's just earned her pro card at one of the hardest uh, shows on the planet. I'm gonna be honest with you because that's where I receive mine. People do it different places, but I think national is the hardest one because it's the last show to get your pro card, and everybody's going to the wall. So introduce yourself, Sumaiya.
I'm Sumaiya Sarwar. I am Ifbb Wellness Pro. Feels good to say that. Um, and I have been competing since 2018. I competed in women's figure and I switched over to wellness. I've been a wellness athlete for about 3 years. 2023 was my third year as a wellness competitor. I am from Queens, New York. Born and raised in Bangladesh. I have been in the United States since I was a teenager. Nice to meet you all.
So did you come here with family?
Yes, I came here when I was in 10th grade
Mhm.
in high school. Mom,
Okay.
dad, brother, we all migrated here.
Okay. And how did you what led you to this part of I guess the athletic part of this world? What made you choose a crazy sport like bodybuilding? Why even bodybuilding? Why?
So one thing about me is that I was obese as a child. So working out has been something I have been doing since I was 6 years old. Um, and so it's not new to me. I just did different forms of physical activity all throughout my life. It started out with just wanting to lose weight. My parents literally took me to a dietitian because they were concerned about my weight, and I would wake up in the morning and work out outside in front of my mom, like doing jumping jacks and burpees and all that at 6 years. At 6 years, and they put me in portion controlled eating habits and all that. But as a teenager, I found yoga. So that was my thing until I came to America when I was 15 years old. And that's when I didn't really feel comfortable doing the regular gym, running tracks, playing volleyball and all that, what like gym class incorporated. So I was one of the few girls that took weightlifting instead of the regular gym class in high school when I came to America. And throughout college and everything, it just kind of continued. Like I would do the Zumba class, the yoga class, go to the gym and do what the ladies mostly do, just pick up some dumbbells. I didn't even know those were called lateral raises or front raises. I just did dumbbell workout in the little corner.
So you weren't some skinny girl already gifted with the genetics to have to lose all this weight really fast. That's what you're saying.
Nope, I was not. I was not. I am more, I was more likely to put on weight. Like so it just continued. And 2016 is when I decided to take weightlifting seriously. And I was kind of like doing what people would call power building. So I was lifting just to feel strong, and that's when I kind of discovered bodybuilding. It wasn't intentional per se. I was more like, okay, I'm doing all this working out and I'm lifting weights, I'm eating a certain way. I want to look the part too. So I started to learn about the difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding, how one thing is more um, focused on, a little bit focused on the aesthetics.
Mhm.
And yeah, so then I was like, oh, I can do it too. So why don't I do it? And later on, when I found out there was no IFBB pros or from my background, from Bangladesh, especially females, I kind of made it a goal. So that's how I got into bodybuilding.
Okay, so any influences? Did you like, like for what I mean by that, like, okay, so like I didn't care for bodybuilding. I really didn't. I heard about it. I didn't know anything about it. So it was just a dare. So what was there a person that influenced you, or how did you find out about where to go? Because that's what most people are going to try to do. Sometimes they don't have a direction of where to go and how to start. How did you just jump into it? Did you know someone?
So one thing about me is that I kind of jump into things. I'm like, I'll figure it out as I go. I do research, but I'm more likely to take a chance. Even if I fail, I fail. Like I learned something from it. So around that time in 2016 is when I was like finishing off my bachelor's. This is going to give away my age, but whatever. And so I was working at this Queens Center for Progress. It's in Queens where we help take care of adults that have developmental or physical disabilities. I had like a whole job lined up after graduation, union job, retirement, health insurance, 9 to 5. But
So
I was,
there was a point. So there was a point. So I don't mean to cut you off. There's a point where you could have just said, "Let me stay here because
right,
now I got the job, I got the career, so I'm safe over here."
yeah,
That
but
was a
I
safe spot.
wasn't happy. And I was literally surviving through college and that life I was building by going to the gym. Like I would be in class, I would be in school, and I would just be looking forward to getting to the gym after. So I quit that job and I took a pay cut and I started working as a front desk at a gym. Minimum wage, part-time. I moved out on my own with roommates, renting a room, and kind of realized that this is where I want to be. So working at a gym opened me up to meeting a lot of people who are in that lifestyle. So I met one of the front desk at the gym who was men's bodybuilding competitor, and he kind of explained to me about the different divisions and the difference between enhanced athletes versus natural athletes and different federations and X, Y, and Z. From there on, I started following more bodybuilders and more competitors on social media, and I was fortunate enough to meet a few like bikini competitors. So I started to be like, I can do it too. So I wouldn't say one specific person inspired me. I would say more like me taking a chance and putting myself in the environment where
That's
I
the
can be
key.
exposed to a lot of the things I'm looking to attract. That's what was the turning point for me.
Okay, I see. That's great to hear that you taking a chance and risk taking. You had the safe place at one point, and people would probably think you're crazy. You had a safe place. You had that career that would just provide for you for the rest of life, and all you gotta do is work the 9 to 5 and come home and then have kids and do what everybody's doing. And you chose to say, "I'm gonna go broke for a little bit." Because on the other side of that could be something else special. So let me take, and you said exactly what I like to hear people say is you took a chance, you took a risk, and not many people are willing to take risks to pursue their happiness, you know?
And
Um, I'm sorry, I don't mean, you could just jump in and say whatever you want to say
no, I
while
was
I'm
just
going.
saying like this is something I have done again and again in my life, taking a risk, right? My life has not been one steady line. There's been so many like going up, and then no, this is not for me. Let me try something else. So I guess at this point, I'm kind of like used to it. It is still scary, but I'm like, this is part of life. This is who I am. I'm gonna do it. It's fine.
I'm glad that you said this because I do read some information about you and also I know some information about you because I met you in Coliseum Gym many years ago and we had some brief interactions and I would always see you over there by yourself, very quiet, doing your own thing, and I would just say to myself, this woman doesn't follow the norm of everybody else what I see. I used to just, not like a creep, but just being observant. Observant is the word I'm like, because I was working at the front desk in Coliseum Gym, and I would just observe people because sometimes it gets boring behind there. And I would observe you going through your training. I think maybe I've offered advice one or two times, but I realized that you are a somewhat of an introvert. I don't know if that's true.
Not anymore. I
Okay.
guess I was in the cocoon at that time when you met me. That was like my first bodybuilding competition prep ever.
Mhm.
I was going through in 2018. So now I am not as much quiet,
Okay.
but I would say I differentiate between when it's time for me to put in work versus when
Hmm.
it's for me to be the person who is here to socialize. So
Hmm.
now when I'm in the gym, I always have a plan. I'm like, okay, I have to do X, Y, and Z. I have to do this much cardio. I have this much time allocated. So I still don't like to be interrupted when I'm working out. But
Hmm.
there is, now that I'm an IFBB pro, my picture is up on the wall in my home gym. So people recognize me. So I'm understanding that, um, if someone is supporting my journey and looking up to me and I'm being inspirational, it is important for me to take the time out to pass the torch along, kind of like how a lot of IFBB pros and Olympians have done for me.
Right, right. That's part of it that comes with it. Is to sometimes even when you're in a great training, somebody taps you like, "Hey, aren't you so?" And when you weren't, and when you probably was not as known, but people would just communicate with you just for whatever, you could say, "Could you just leave me alone?" Or not in a nice way, and be like, But now you're in the spotlight, and because this is a sport, we're a part of it, and I'm going to be very blunt because I've been in it since 2010.
Mm.
You have to be liked. You have to be liked because if the judges and if the audience and the people do not like you, it can cause a stain. A lot of people don't like to hear that, and they think that bodybuilding is just what your body looks like. It's not that. It's your personality. It's what you bring to the sport. It's who you are. It's who you interact with. You got to be careful who you interact with because it can put a stain on your reputation. So you have to keep that kind of like that focus on, hey, this is the way I'm going, and try not to deviate from that area. So like I wanted to go back to that. Like I listened to some of your things that you've written and the trials and tribulations that you went through. And the reason why I reached out to you because it was very inspiring to hear that you've gone through so much. And a lot of people, maybe they have read, and I hope that they have read your story and what you have gone through Bangladesh, through up here, and through going from a personality to say, I'm not a victim anymore. I'm more than that. And I'm going to show the world who I am, not from the outside. They just see the outside, they see the inside. So I read that a lot. And over the past few months, before you even went to national, I was like, I'm going to reach out to Sumaiya, and say to her, hey, let's get that story further out there. And I'm sure you have done because I've read some of it. So can you tell us, briefly or whatever it is, how you overcame some of these things and what you're willing to share to the world today?
To be honest, like I feel like my story's just beginning, you know, and I'm not ready to share everything, but I would say a big part of my journey have been about learning my worth and giving myself the love and the respect that I want from the world. And I have been through things like I was sexually abused by a family member at age 6. I went through bullying and all that when I came to America in high school because I didn't really speak the language well. Um, I went through abusive relationships and depression, anxiety, mental health issues are something that runs in my family and that I struggled with from a very young age. So a big part of it has been being able to quiet those mental health issues and what the society tells you to do and just find out who Sumaiya is and listen to her and honor her. Even now, um, I'm kind of learning not to be focused on what I see with my two eyes, like my reality, and to keep my focus on the vision that I have, the bigger picture. I'll give you an example, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yes, I won my pro card. I got back in December, but the
Mm-hmm.
whole last year was so eye-opening. It showed me people colors. It showed me how strong I really am and how much I don't really need to depend on people. I'm really
Mm-hmm.
big on faith and the
Mm-hmm.
bigger picture and
Mm-hmm.
manifest
Mm-hmm.
all I'm capable of. Um, so like one thing I am overcoming now,
Mm-hmm.
say, um, I had again this nice life. Bills are getting paid, gym is down the block. I can go to the gym whenever. I can pose, do my posing, do my online
Mm-hmm.
coaching, all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not happy and I was not honoring myself. So
Mm-hmm.
I really, the week that I was in a peak week about to compete,
Mm-hmm.
show was on Friday. On Wednesday, I sent out my resume because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I need to get back on my feet. And if that
Mm-hmm.
means having to go back to work, me having to move and all this, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally put out my resume. I got
Mm-hmm.
back on Saturday. Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
I got a call back. From Monday, I started working full time, 40 hours a week. And mind you, I haven't worked outside since before COVID. So
Mm-hmm.
I have, I would say I'm starting all over again. Like I didn't really celebrate my victory. I went to do the show alone. Uh, I went out to eat alone. I did everything alone. I came back. I started working. I worked for, like I started that new job
Right,
that's
right,
got back.
right.
And I moved like this past Sunday. Um,
Like you said, the life can do like this.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Um, so this is something I'm overcoming. This is like
Mm-hmm.
redoing my reality, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's it's easy to be like everybody's like, oh, sweet, you're IFBB pro. Like, how does it feel? What are you doing? Celebrating? I'm like, well, I don't really know because I feel like I'm on to the next goal.
It probably haven't set in fully, maybe, I don't know. But I guess I can't tell what you feel and just know what from what happened when I did. But um now that you've gotten through that part, you woke up and you're like, okay, now instead of coming home and then like, okay, I'm ready to have some fun still and go out to dinner. Like most of the other pros, they go to on vacation and whatnot. Like I see it all the time. I know what it's like. Like when I turned pro in 2012, I did it on pennies. You know what I'm saying? So when I came back broke and in a one-bedroom apartment with just the walls and no celebration. So I get what you're saying. That's why it resonated with me when some of the things I listened to you, and researched you before, even I know some of the things from the book and I know you a little bit. But I know what it's like, and then finally you're back to work, and you're like, "Damn, that's it." So, did you feel like, all right, I turned pro now? Now what? I got to work. Where do I get the celebration? Where's that other part? Did you feel like that?
I think for me, I really enjoyed my peak week. So that was that felt like a celebration and a reset
Mm,
because had I went to Texas by myself. I haven't traveled by myself anywhere since 2016. So it's been a long time coming, and
mm-hmm.
I have not been anywhere like alone. I'm one of those people that I really enjoy my own company. I'm very
That's good.
selective about who I connect with and whatnot. I could be in a room, I don't know, reading a book for the whole day if I want to. And I haven't really. been alone for more than few hours a day since 2019. So to me, that felt like a celebration. Oof, I can breathe. No one's
Mm,
bothering me.
mm.
It's cool and quiet. I don't have to answer why I need to pose right now, why I need to take a nap middle of the day or any of that. So to me, that was peaceful. And that kind of reaffirmed to me that, okay, that was celebration in itself. And my goal, my birthday was actually the week right after the show. So my
Really?
birthday, yeah.
So you
So
turned
I said,
25.
I guess, over and over again. So that was my gift to myself. That was my birthday gift. I was like, you know what? For myself this year, I'm going to get my pro card. That's my birthday gift. I'm going to become financially independent. That's my gift. And I'm going to move and live somewhere where I have peace of mind. So
Awesome. Awesome.
those were my celebration, you know. Um, Not necessarily, I mean, vacation would be nice to somewhere nice and warm. Like in New York, it's freezing today. But yeah,
Yes. Mhm.
I achieved those things. So I feel like I celebrated in my own way.
Okay. So here's a topic. So I would like to ask you is it easy having a relationship and being a competitive bodybuilder? And how do you find it?
I think it varies from person to person, right?
Mhm.
Every relationship has its own dynamic.
Mhm.
I can only speak from my experience and how it's been for me. And for
Mhm.
me, every time I prep for a bodybuilding show, my relationship falls apart.
It happens.
Yeah, more and more. Each
Mhm.
level that I climb, it becomes more and more difficult.
Mhm.
Um, Off season is completely fine
Oh,
because
of course.
we can go have meals, we can skip the gym, we don't have to do much cardio, so I'm nice and fun and people pleasing to the best of my abilities. But when I have to put my foot down and be like, no, 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 I can't do this, I don't have energy for this, I need a little bit more help, that's when it's like, oh, you're being selfish.
I know. I know. So I've coached, I'm sure you're into the coaching business now, right? You're gonna coach people and you've been coaching people. I know that from before turning pro. But from the coaching standpoint, when I first thing I do when I have a client, I ask them, are they in a relationship? If I don't know. And if they are, if I always say to them, in that consultation is how supportive is your significant other? Do they know anything about the sport? And if they don't, you gotta I tell them the first few weeks of their prep, let's say they do a 16-week prep, the first month or two, it's gonna be beautiful. It's always beautiful because you're eating some food, you're having some cheat meals. But then the last, I would say, when I'm coaching a client, even for myself, because I'm a very hard person, because I come from the old school way of coaching where I train really, really hard. To me, I don't have a PB. I'm always expecting my clients to be 5 weeks out ready as an open bodybuilder. So I said, I would tell them, have a conversation with your significant other and make sure that they understand for the next 6, maybe 8 weeks, you won't be spending much time and you may be a little bit cranky. That's why I tell them bodybuilding is a selfish sport. It is self-absorbed. It's all about you. And guess what? Rightfully so, because when you on that thing, even though you have a team, you can have a coach and you could have a trainer and you can have a nutritionist. But when you get on that stage or when it comes to going into the gym to doing what you have to do, it is up to you and you only. So, like you said, it's the dynamics having to know that if you're going to continue in this level, and it's going to get even more strenuous, Sumaiya. It's going to get more. It's going to get a lot more difficult, especially when you do your pro debut, and you're going to have to just the same mentality you have now, turn it up a notch.
Yep.
So whoever is around you in that area has to understand that those last few weeks, 8 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is it takes you to get in great shape, you are going to have no time, zero time with that person, unless that person is somewhat likes to be in the gym as much because that's where the time is spent. And did you, okay, so I guess I'm gonna say it's more like when you found it difficult, did it hurt your prep or did it elevated you as a person to say, you know, I'm going to that next level?
So I am very skillful at using my pain as a fuel because
Okay,
I've been through so much pain, physical, mental, emotional in my life that I know how to transmute it to something powerful.
okay.
Right. So I believe we all have like a dark place. We all have painful memories, painful whatever. And I have learned how to utilize that towards something good. This whole past year has been one of the worst year of my life. But it also brought out the best side of me. So I can't complain. I did 3 shows, right? So I was in prep the whole year from January to December.
Hold on a second. So you in how many shows you done before you turned pro?
I did one amateur show. I won like not first in novice, first in open. It was only me, so they didn't give me the overall title because I didn't have to compete against anybody else.
Okay,
And after that, I did the show North Americans in September.
tough show.
I placed fourth in open. And that was kind of like a wake-up call. And that's when I was like, this is do or die. And then I went and did this show in December and I won overall and my pro card. So it was
So three
three.
shows.
Yeah.
You know, there's people out there competing for years and years and years and just can't snag it. So you need to, that first thing you said, it was just me alone and da da da. Don't ever say that because you still worked hard. You had to learn. You had to start from somewhere. So that pat on the back, sometimes we don't give ourselves enough, room to say, "Hey, I did great. Let me pat myself on the back. I did a good job. I did a great thing." And I achieved this goal. And it didn't take me that long. It just like, okay, this is what I have to do, and you did it. And then years later, after 3 shows, you're now a wellness pro.
Yeah, I think since I have always been a perfectionist, I don't necessarily like I have difficulty giving myself a pat on the back sometimes because I always look at it like there's still more levels and I can continue improving.
Mhm,
And that's what I kind of learned doing these 3 shows.
mhm.
Um,
Giving yourself the approval to say, "Hey, it's okay. I did a good job. It's all right." Like people aren't going to say they're going to do it. Not everyone is going to be supportive. You should be your best cheerleader, your best support system, and
I
then
am,
everybody else can.
I am. Um, However, my experience has been the more I am becoming sure of myself, I have lost a lot of friends and family and loved ones. I feel like they don't like this version of me. They rather me
Mhm,
be who I used to be, and that's what has happened winning this
mhm,
show. Um, I'll give you like a brief of what happened. So the prep started in sort of like pre-prep, getting health markers, all things tested and getting prepared. And that was when I was staying with my partner. He didn't have job and we were mainly depending on his income to support us. And that's when my business also kind of took a dip, personal training. So first 3 months, no job, living off of savings and whatnot. I'm in prep for the first show. And then he gets a job, but it's kind of like pay cut. And he was used to working from home. Now he is having to travel somewhere to work. But the first 3 months when I started prep, I was being the person who does all the emotional lifting, be the supportive one while I'm cutting down on food and all that. Then when he goes out to work, now most of the household task also falls on me. right? So as the prep continued,
Which
even
is
the
still
first
also work.
yeah, even the first prep in June, I had to have this talk like, hey, I understand that you're now out of the house and you're taking a big load of the financial responsibility for us, but I'm starting to feel depleted. I need more help. Like I can't do my cardio twice a day, do my training, and on top of that, walk the dog and do household stuff and all that, and still have my clients here and there, so I did the first show. I did okay. And then when I did the second show, that's when the relationship started to take a toll. I think because I knew I needed to come in leaner. It's a national show, right? And then when I did the second show, after coming back from the second show, I was considering doing the third show, but I wasn't sure. My coach and we spoke backstage with the head judge, and the feedback was something that is easily fixable. So I decided I was going to do the show in December, but I was afraid to even tell my partner because to me it felt like he looked at me doing the shows as like something to get through,
It
just
wasn't
get
something that was to him as important to you. Not saying he didn't be supportive, but it may be thinking of it as something that will pass by one day, or just you'll stop
yeah.
eventually.
To me, it felt good, even the pain, even the hunger, because every day I was reaching a new milestone and I was proud of myself. I was realizing
Mm,
how powerful I am.
okay.
But to him, it was like, oh, okay, but I'm having to, not me, like he was having to take on more of the load. And I was setting boundaries. I was like, you know what? I can't do the dishes every day. I'm gonna do
Mm,
it. I'm gonna load it on the dishwasher every other day. Or like, you know
okay.
what? I have to train legs, so I can't walk the dog this day.
Okay.
Please get a
Okay.
dog walker. So to him,
Yes.
it was coming off as like more expense, and to him, me pursuing this was sort of a hobby, right?
That's what I
Like
said.
you're
I said.
able to pursue your hobby because of me,
Right.
and I
Right.
didn't like that.
Right. So that is something that happens a lot in relationships. And I guess you have to go through that to understand when you do start, and this is not by any means any kind of pushing you or telling you, or people say, oh well, she's on her own, she's choosing what she wants to do, she's not looking for anybody, so don't come on here. It's because we're giving you information to go harass this woman. She's on a journey to be great. So please, BBC, leave her alone. She's a very serious person. Um,
I mean, I think I am one of those women who is very goal driven.
mhm,
I can be a good partner, a loving partner, a supportive
mhm.
partner. However, I don't think I am ever fully content just being a partner to somebody,
That's
I
right.
need to have my own legacy. I need to achieve certain things, and I put that first. And
Right.
that is not everybody's cup of tea. Um, And I would say this much, I did receive certain support, but as I started to put myself first, it was seen as like you're not being compassionate, but then I'm like, I'm in a vision right now, and I need to see how far I can get to.
Awesome. Yes.
And that's what happened. Like after the second show, when I moved into doing this show, I just I just completely closed everything out. Like
So
literally,
before, and sometimes that's really good. A lot of people out there throws everything out there, and then you know, then you have people being sharks. Like we talked off camera, sharks about how this industry is. But you got to love the process of bodybuilding. So we want to just get to the point where people are going to see some more of Sumaiya. Like we want to see. I know they want to see the overall champ from one of the hardest shows, which is nationals. compete against the best in the world. So where do you self, I wanted to ask you a question, like, where do you see yourself in the near future? When I say near future, next 2 years from here?
I definitely see myself at the Olympia stage, at least
Nice.
top 10, ideally top 5.
Mhm.
And I'm just keeping my head down and ready to keep working more to be worthy of being on that stage. That's one of my personal milestone goals.
I think when you say worthy, yeah, you're right. And I think some parts of you are still, like you said, in the cocoon, breaking out of that shell. Because I listen to the words that you say, and they're great, they're awesome. But you already told people forget about telling people. You already showed people your worth, and that worth was not created by words. Your actions showed everyone your worth. The way you created this world, and you decided to, let's just do a recap. You had the life that you could have had a perfect job, it had the benefits, and it had the packages, and you could have worked your 9 to 5, and you would have been okay, and you would have had the kids and the family, and everything would have been great. But you chose, there's a poem that says you chose the road less followed. Saying that road that was full of gravel, was full of aches and pain, full of thorns, and you chose that. Some people would say, well, that's a road I don't want to go down that road. It's hard, it's difficult, but you chose that road. So now going forward to the middle of the life, now you're like, okay, this is where the bumps hit. I'm going to move forward to it. And then now you get into a point where now you become the wellness pro, not just the wellness pro, the overall champ. We got to give ourselves permission to pat ourselves on the back and say, yo, hey, you know what? I already proved my worth. My worth was already proven the day I stepped on that stage, the first time and the last time this year, not the last time forever, just recently, that I am worthy of being an Olympia contender. So that words of saying my worth, you already proved it. Now the whole point is, whenever you get on there, there's going to be a lot of people cheering for you, but there's always going to be a lot of people wanting your downfall. They're going to watch your videos and see and you think that they're clapping for you, but pretty much some of them are supportive and some of them won't. But from the mindset and the little bit I've known of you, you have inspired and even me, I'm not even gonna lie to you, Sumaiya. I have watched the things that you've done, and you may not think, like, I look at the books you've written. You think I don't know the books you've written, the things you've manifested, the way you start your workout. You think I don't see when you kind of zen in, and then I've seen those things. You think and you go, and you relax yourself, and you go into that mind muscle connection, and you go into your training. This is the type of work ethic is not around anymore when people is so focused on your blindness. And now leading up to whenever that comes, and now you took on 40 hours, you're going to complete this. I know that because that is just your mindset. So your worth is already proven. So what we want to know is, or what everyone is going to look for is, how far are you willing to take it? How far?
I have big goals. Let's just say this is just a step in the right direction.
Mhm.
Olympia is not my only ultimate goal.
Gotta have
It,
other things.
I would say one of the individuals I look up to the most is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Mhm.
So I'm
Oh,
looking to do the empire.
why don't you go to the Arnold?
I will. I will.
Okay, good. Awesome. Awesome.
I already visualize myself on that stage, Arnold interviewing me after winning the show. I don't want to
That's
say
what's.
too much, but I have a lot of big goals.
Mhm.
It's all going to be revealed in due times. It's just step by step, but
Mhm.
Olympia is not the only goal. Pro card win is not the only goal. This
Okay.
IBD Pro card wasn't the only goal. These are all incrementally adding up to the legacy I plan on building for myself.
Okay. And here's one thing. How does it feel to be the first ever Bangladesh woman from Bangladesh? I don't want to say things incorrectly. um, Bodybuilder, women's wellness bodybuilder ever. Like, when did that seep in, and how did you feel about that?
The celebration hasn't exactly been what I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because bodybuilding is not as common in the Bengali culture, or it hasn't been getting as much recognition back in Bangladesh. I have received a lot more congratulation from people who have found me on social media from my background versus people that I know in real life, because it's still sort of like a taboo, especially Bangladesh being a Muslim country. You know, women showing their body, women posing a certain way, it doesn't correlate with the cultural norms and the cultural values. So I'm not being celebrated for my victory by the community as of yet. I'm getting more recognition from the Gen Z, right? Like the younger generations that are more open-minded versus the overall community. So I'll be honest with you, lately I have been questioning more about my self-identity itself. Because being Bengali, being raised in a Muslim household, living in Bangladesh for 15 years of my life, installed certain core values, work
Mm-hmm.
ethic, moral values that is making me who I am. But then again, I spent majority of my life in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't necessarily fit neatly into the box of what Bengali people consider to be a good Bengali woman. So I experienced a lot of rejection, which I'm used to from when I was born, you know. So a lot of rejection from my own family, my own community. So I can't change where I was born. I would always be a Bangladeshi woman,
Mm-hmm.
but that is so I've been questioning. I was like, you know, what am I doing this for? Am I doing this necessarily to represent the country and the community that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily embrace me for
Mm-hmm.
all that I am?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I doing this for myself?
Well, that's the question you have to answer for yourself eventually, because I understand how it feels to be, it's different from men, because I'm a Muslim. It's different from men being Muslim, but way different for women being Muslim and being on a bodybuilding stage.
Yeah,
But you have to create that kind of world for yourself and see what's best for you. I feel like intentions, as in Muslims say, your intentions has to be pure. And if
yeah,
your intentions are pure, then everything else is, it's not like you're going out and showing your body off for other reasons. It's because of a goal inside. So your intention, God reads our heart, you know what I'm saying? So that is what I feel like, I've battled with that years ago, before I became Muslim, before I took my Shahada. And as growing up in a religious family, I was like, I cannot do this. But then sometimes you have to say to yourself, you know what? I'm not hurting anyone, you know?
mhm,
And it's for that's why, I was hoping that you reach out to other, women as like yourself and say to them, well, you gotta pave your own path,
yeah,
and which you are doing. And I'm sure a lot of people are wanna they're gonna watch and see how far you go, and they want to see you. And there's gonna be people that's gonna praise you. And that last thing I sent on my Instagram was never go somewhere where you're tolerated. Never
exactly.
be places where you're tolerated. Always go to where you're celebrated. If you're at a place in your life where people are tolerating you, when it's all right just for now, or that's not. And
Mm,
if you're in a place where it's uncomfortable, most of the time, that is the place where you need to be. That uncomfortable part of your life, because that's where everything grows. That's why I feel like you have gotten to where you're going and going to go far, because you embrace the uncomfortable part of who you are, and not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone as you did with that comfortable job you could have had,
yeah.
and that could have been comfortable for you, and you chose not to. And we want to congratulate. I want to congratulate you personally for it's not being the comfortable, staying in that comfortable zone that we people normally do and stay for a very long period of time, not be happy. So moving forward, you know, your pursuit of happiness inspires so many others you may not know, but it does. And getting your pro card, which I knew, and I said it to you years ago when you came to the fight. I said, you're going to get it. And and just watch it go from there. All right.
I guess I'm looking for my community now,
You don't have to
more
look.
minded people.
They're
And
gonna come to you.
yeah, for a long time, I thought there was something wrong with me for the mindset and my work ethic and how extreme I am and don't want to settle and all this. But now those are the skills that are taking me further. So I'm really grateful for how things are unfolding. And now I actually feel hopeful, like, hey, I'm not alone. There are a lot of other people that think this way, that want more out of life. And I'm like opening myself up to networking more, to collaborating more, and just looking at the positive. The few people that do support me, they are doing it genuinely because they see the value in me and they want to help me. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to focus on that instead of the ones that want to see me fall. And if some
Mhm.
people don't like you, that means you're doing something right. Not everybody is going to like you. That's okay.
That's
So thank
okay.
you for having me on your podcast. Like you
Yeah, I
have seen
appreciate it.
early days. Our show to now pro card win. And it's been a long, really humbling journey to be here.
You are glowing, Sumaiya. I'm telling you. You may not feel it on the inside, but from the outside, people need to tell you, or if they do need it, you don't need from people to tell you, but to keep that glow alive, because people want to hear genuinely what you've been through from back home till now, and how you are going to navigate into this world where Muslim women aren't supposed to be. And who says they're not supposed to be this way? But I think that as we go through the journey, we'll see this together. So I want to end this Zoom call, and thank you for coming here, and hopefully we get you back on here soon. And tell everybody where they can find you. I'm sure they can already, but just on here, how they can find you and where they can find you at on your social media platforms.
So I am on every platform you can think of: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
Oh, guys, literally, she is. She's on Spotify. She's on she has books that she's written. But go ahead.
I have my own podcast as well. It's Diary of a Wellness Bodybuilder. And my handle is _ Sumaiya Sarwar, my first name, last name. And I hope to have you on my podcast as well one day to
Yes, yes,
continue.
yes. Yes, we'll be checking back in on Sumaiya and her journey, because now she's gonna do, and I know she's gonna do it. Now she's got to put in 40 hours and turn around and go get ready for shows.
Yeah,
More
it's
books around that.
possible, If there's a will, there's a way.
Yes, yes. So thank you again for being on. Actually, this is one of them. This is one of my first podcasts, and with Wellness Pro champ Sumaiya Sarwar. Thanks for being here.
Thank you
Have
for
a good
having
night.
me. Take
Bye
care.
now.